Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my amazing co-host, Phil. How are you today, Phil?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty happy about my draft picks.
I'm not surprised.
Well, you did have a good, like, you definitely had a great team, even after the blip. But spoiler
Yeah.
alert, everyone, I did take the cake, and I had the winners on my team, which was Team Holderness, which was Kim and Penn. Now, we started off this whole season with you very anti Kim and Penn. How do you feel now that you've seen them run the full race?
Um. There, no, like I mean, I gave they definitely I would give them lots of credit. They did a lot of great work on the race. Um, Obviously, I mean, it was getting very close to the end. I was very excited for the girls. They were going into that very last task in first. Um, so I always love when we see good teams win, and they were the team that did win. They were a good team. They, I there were times they were trying me at times, but they were good. Well deserved win for them. Yeah, yeah, I thought it was a well deserved win.
I totally agree. I am so happy that, I mean, just for the fact that what I'm most shocked about is at the end, I believe Dusty says, like, you guys are the oldest team to win the amazing race. And I wanted to ask you, as a historian, is that true? Are they really the oldest team?
Oh, I wish you asked me this before. I would have looked into this for you.
Oh, it's okay.
Um, but yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, if you do the averages, there was a uh, they might be the oldest team. They might be the oldest team. I'll have to look into that.
Perfect.
They seem
Hi.
young though.
But like, they're the oldest team, which is like wild to
Yeah.
me. Hi, Adrian. Thanks for being here. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I did win the draft. Yes. And yes, great job to the Holdernesses. I mean, we're going to get into it absolutely because they didn't run a perfect leg at all. But they did a lot of things within their game and how they studied and how they prepared for the
Yeah.
race that really put them in the like the pathway for success. So we're going to get into all the final three and the final four. But first, we're going to talk about the survey that everybody contributed to last week.
Yeah. So our last survey for this season. So this is we asked these at the end of last week, and we had a lot of people respond, which was great. It was really good. We actually had quite a number of people respond throughout the season, which is
Yay.
fantastic. We asked what leg 9 task was the hardest. Obviously, the no stone unturned roadblock had all the votes. Nobody voted for any of the other stuff. Not surprised. Were you surprised that this was a leg was not elimination? Pretty much everybody said no. Which of the final four Amazing Race teams do you want to see win? It was a tie.
With the girls.
Raquel and Kayla, and Ryan and Dusty.
Oh,
That
wow.
that was a new one in there. So those were they tied for the most votes there. Um, and then which of the final four do you think will win? Well, almost a landslide, Kim and Ten. So so I guess the audience knew
Didn't
that they
want
were
them to
going to
win.
win, but maybe didn't want them to as much. But
Well,
I
I
think
mean,
that they earned it.
they probably didn't want them to win because it's like they're not the underdogs, they're the front runners. So it's kind of like, oh, we
Right.
want somebody that like we don't think is going to win, that's going to come up and surprise us. But because they were looking so strong, like, and they were assuming that they're going to win, it's less, it's a little anticlimactic, I think. So that's probably, I think, why they would maybe
Yeah, yeah,
vote that way.
yeah. I mean, it was tough to do this season. I mean, you had three very strong teams that were like doing really well, and then when they teams didn't come back, and then some of the teams that had already been eliminated came back, and they weren't really as strong. So it kind of was kind of a little anticlimactic. But I was glad that that was the final three. Like that, they were the three that deserved it.
Absolutely. Yeah. They were strong before the blip and after the blip. So yeah, it's great. So getting to this double episode, the first episode is No Room for Error, and the second episode is called In the Hands of the Amazing Race Gods. And so we do get to see the plane again. So they're taking the plane from Greece over to Portugal. Now, have you been to Portugal?
I have not been to Portugal. On the list.
I've been
definitely on the list.
I liked Portugal a lot. It was beautiful. I mean, what I really love about Europe, it's just like things happened there so long ago, and it's just so like my mind can't wrap my head around how historic just some of the lands are,
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I went to Rome, I took the city bus from the airport into the city, like where I was staying, and like on the city bus and just driving by the Colosseum, and it's just like, what? Like, what do you mean? It's just like we get the CN Tower, they get the Colosseum. It's just really, really cool just to see history. And when you in Portugal, like all the buildings are just kind of old like that, and they just have so much history. It's really cool to be there. So I really liked Portugal. I would definitely go back there. It's good times.
All right.
Definitely been to Lisbon, and I've been to Porto.
Porto?
Yes, I have. So they're going to be starting at, they have a replica. I didn't see this personally when I was there, but there's a replica of Christ the Redeemer that's usually in Rio de Janeiro. Have you been to Rio de Janeiro?
Wouldn't that be nice to say yes, but no.
Okay, want to hear something? So, I don't know about...
You've been to Rio?
No, my mom I don't know, a few years ago, like 6 years ago, she was offered a package with the work that she is working at. They're like, either you can retire now or we can transfer you to Rio to work for the next few years, and like everything would be paid and all accommodations, all that stuff, and then you get to work there and continue working. She took the package and I'm like, what? She's like, well, she's a Cancer, so she's like, I have a house here for you guys, and like I put down roots so you guys can fly. And I'm like, Mom, go to Rio. I would visit you probably more often if you're in Rio. Not visit often, but like go to Rio. I mean, it definitely would I'd have made a different choice for me, of course, but yeah, I could have had a mom that was living in Rio.
Oh, you could have gone.
I could have gone. I had a good excuse to, So Adrian said, just looked it up. Kim and Penn are the oldest team to win the Amazing Race. So happy for them to make history. Very cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Love stats that are being, created. So group 1 is going to be Raquel and Kayla that are going to be leaving, and they're going to be going to Fortaleza de San Felipe, which is a fortress along the coast. And there's going to be 2 roadblocks this leg, and choose wisely. Now, with the choose wisely little, message, what did you think that was going to entail?
Choose wisely, I think just was like, hey, listen, you're both going to have to do something here. Well, you're each for sure going. And yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I guess there's a little bit of a message there of think about the finales of the past a bit, and you make sure you're deciding who really could do this task, because maybe the next one's going to be a little bit harder. But you want to put in the right person, so.
Well, of course, but I did think when they said choose wisely, it made it seem like the tasks were going to be completely unbalanced, and they weren't. You know what I mean? Like they're both they're different, but they're 2 tasks that either person kind of could have done. And so I was like, why are you telling them to choose wisely as if it's one's going to be like a heights thing and somebody's afraid of heights or something. You know what I mean? It just made, I was more wary of oh my goodness, what are they going to do to the other person? And it was kind of, for me, a little bit of a letdown because it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, like it would have been like if it was even a little bit more obvious that one was about like physical stuff and one was about mental stuff. Like really, like I mean, in a way it was, but they weren't really over the top that way. Like it wasn't like an extremely difficult puzzle or something. Or yeah.
Yeah. So 15 minutes later, we have Kim and Penn leaving with Arun and Natalia. So this may be one of the first time, or no, there's one other time where Arun and Natalia weren't leaving last. So they were very excited for this. And I do like the fact that Arun and Natalia are super fans. I just wish that they were better navigators. It's hard to root for them sometimes because it's like, you know that they're not going to do well.
Yeah, I think they were. It would have been very tough for them to make the final three. I think they did well to make it that far. They should be very proud. But 3 very strong teams.
Oh yeah, very strong. Okay, what did this annoy you, or did you like it when Penn was imitating, like being on the mat, like clapping for people when they're running in, winning, or coming in first, second, or third, being like, I thought it was funny. Did you? You didn't notice
I thought it was funny. I did notice it. No, I did think it was funny. I didn't get annoyed, so that's good.
Oh, well, noted. Check.
No,
didn't get annoyed. So Dusty and Ryan, though, like they are Dusty and his like the way that he talks about competing, like it's just like we are this certain animal, we're coming to devour them, we're getting up on their tail. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so like animalistic. He just wants to eat
I thought it's
people.
so funny with him. Like the first like maybe 5 legs, we hardly heard from Dusty at all, and then like we got to that like make the cheese task, and ever since then it's like, who's this Dusty guy? He's raging.
Okay, Dusty.
Where did he come from?
It's like, well, feed. I'm like, what's this language? Like, I just don't know anybody that really speaks like that. I guess I don't really know that many people that are super competitive in that way, but just like, yeah, just like we're on their tail. I wouldn't want us behind them because we're ready to pounce and eat them. I was like, oh, okay. So the FAs, so Kayla and Raquel, they kind of get lost in their navigating. And I thought that Arun and Natalia were going to notice them, but they do see Arun and Natalia stopping and looking for directions. So they basically lost a little bit of their lead because they were 15 minutes ahead of them.
Yeah.
But Arun and Natalia didn't seem to notice them because like they should have just been like, "Ooh, there was them. Let's go catch up to them and follow them so they can like get somewhere."
That's definitely what they should have done.
So they have to take in the view and look for their next like destination by spotting a flag. So they kind of have to run up this like the fortress, and they have to look on kind of at the look out and find the flag. How would you be about spotting those things? Are you colorblind or anything like that?
I'm not colorblind. My husband is colorblind, so I do know what it's like to be around people that are colorblind. I know his whole family is pretty much. It's tough because like they're always trying.
You have to be like, that doesn't look good on you, babe.
They can try and see the colors. They're always trying to prove it, but like they don't, and it's really funny because like he dresses well. Like I mean, he knows like
he only wears beige,
colors together, but he has no idea what color half the time he's wearing.
Really? So I don't. It's so interesting how that works. So is it that like how do they see the world? I just kind of I can't picture what that would be like.
Yeah, I mean,
is it just red green?
Like, no, I mean, a lot of his colors are he sees more like brown or gray, so it's sort of like the colors a little bit not in there. That like it's sort of more dull. But then at other times it's like, oh, like that's green, and it's like that's blue, and it's like no. So it's a little all over the place.
You know, I want to see if like I would like to do like a color test with somebody that's colorblind so I can be like, okay, so what color is this to you? And then find a color that I understand that they think that that color is. You know what I
Or
mean? Like, if,
is.
and so
Yeah.
then maybe I
Yeah.
can understand what they're seeing.
Right. Because the other thing is, then when they're told that that's what that color is, then they go, oh, well, that's red. But it's not the red that necessarily is the same red
That
that
you're
like you
seeing.
see. So because then they get they learn about it and they're like, oh, I can see red. Do you?
But it's actually purple to you. It's very fascinating. Not gonna lie, I believe Penn, sorry, is also colorblind, and so I find that very interesting. And I believe David from Nerdtainment is also colorblind. So I find it very fascinating because
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I am colorblind and I just don't know it, but no, I got color, I think. But it's
Yeah,
wild.
but a lot of people, there are a lot of people that are colorblind. It's not really as uncommon as I thought it was.
So so the Kim and Penn actually get to the fortress first. Then the flight attendants are seeing them. Wait, how did this go? Them leave? Is that how it went? And
I think
then,
so. Yes, because there was a little
and
bit of a
then,
lead. Yeah.
and then the boys caught up to Kayla and Raquel, and they were all at the lookout. And then Arun and Natalia was kind of like on the heels of Dusty and Ryan and Kayla and Raquel, who were leaving when Arun and Natalia were arriving at the fortress. I believe that's how that worked. When that went
Right.
down.
Right.
Um, that must have been intense though. Like on the you don't want to be eliminated this leg, and like if everybody's clumped up that much together, if Arun and Natalia has caught up to the teams, well, no, I guess it would be at the same time as Kayla, so that would make sense. But I guess if Dusty and Ryan have already overtaken Arun and Natalia, that must have been really nerve-wracking for them because they're like, oh my god, if they're ahead of us already, like, and there's so much more race to go, this could be our final leg.
Yeah.
So yes, Ryan and Dusty now are hunting the main prize because they've overtaken a team now. I think they passed the girls briefly, and now they're hunting down Kim and Penn. I would be scared if they're behind me.
Oh yeah, those calves.
Those calves. Oh no. And we learned about its upper body strength is something else too. You know what I love though? Okay, so when they were looking for the fortress, when they're looking for the flag that was on the, like, after they went to the lookout and they had to find the flag and they came down, they're starting to drive. I loved seeing each team's cars on the little map, like where they were going. I found that to be so fun. I wish that they did that more often.
I believe that they used to do that like near the beginning, like, or at least I know they used to do it with like the planes, and then like sometimes with like trains, they would like do a little graphic of where they were. So yeah, I like that. I like knowing like where are they at the same time, like who's closest.
Loved it. And like I love seeing, well, poor guys, but when Dusty and Ryan went in the wrong direction, I was like, oh my god, they're in the wrong direction, and Arun and Natalia are going to be ahead of them. Like, oh my god, like it was so close, and I was like getting so nervous for everybody. But I loved seeing the little markers. It was definitely great. So we get to the roadblock. Who wants to go exploring? I think I'd have to give this one to you.
Woohoo! I was gonna say when I watched it, I was like, you know what? I think that we would pick me for this one. So, I agree.
I can
row a boat.
I never rowed a boat by myself, other than that I've done my dragon boat. Yeah, and like I don't know if I would have been able to recognize the explorers. You know what I mean? I would know Cristiano Ronaldo. I would know that is not an explorer, but I wouldn't know if somebody was a poet. None of them really sounded familiar to me.
No. I'm trying to remember who. I think I had heard of one of them. Like those were like very well known people. Like at least in Canada, we don't know them very well. So yeah.
That would have been, I would have figured it out. Would
Yeah.
you? So basically
I
what they
would
had to
have.
do,
No.
there was boats, and on the front end of the boat, it was written the name of a particular explorer, a Portuguese explorer, and so you'd have to row that boat over to a person that's going to
Yeah.
either let you know that if you got it right or wrong. And so if you had a wrong person, you'd have to row back to where you got the boat and find an actual explorer. So it could be challenging, but it seems like not that many people had that much trouble. So Kim is doing this challenge. I thought it was surprising that Kim did this one. Wouldn't you think that Penn would have done it? I guess they wouldn't have known it, but was rowing,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, that actually was the one pairing that kind of surprised me. I would have thought that Penn would have done that. Um, maybe she knew. Maybe she knew explorers. Maybe she really, or
That's
something.
true.
Maybe that was part of it. But
Adrian says, yeah, who would even know one explorer to study for this race? Yeah, like I just like I would not like if like studying for this race. Now that I've seen this, I'm like, ooh, I'd have to like just learn some key people from like every country around the world.
right.
So
But like I mean, now they've done explorers, so now like it could be anything, right? Like you could be doing a fashion task, and you have to know famous fashion icons from certain countries, or like I mean, like it could be anything. It's like so that could be really tough.
could be very tough. So the people that did this task was Kim, Raquel, Arun, and Ryan. And so Kim did it pretty. She guessed, it seemed, and she got it correct on the first time. Raquel, she did it. I don't know if did she guess as well, and she didn't have to go back though. She got it right on her first
No, she
guess,
got
if
it on
I'm
the
not
first
mistaken.
time. And she did say that she thought she was pretty sure that was an explorer, so she kind of knew that she was right.
It's something like it was familiar to her, the name.
Yeah.
I definitely don't remember learning about any Portuguese explorers in school at all.
Either.
I mean, maybe I did, and I've just forgotten. It was so long ago, but like, I don't remember learning about that. But so poor Arun is doing this task, and he cannot row a boat at all, and he gets overtaken by Ryan, because Ryan in his upper body strength.
Because Ryan's
And
upper body strength. Remember this. Ryan's upper body strength.
Ryan picks one and he goes over and he's incorrect. So he has to go back. And then Arun finally gets the hang of rowing, but he was also incorrect and had to go back. But Ryan definitely was a way better rower than Arun. So he was able to finish the task way before Arun was able to. Now, the funny thing about it was Arun looked and he could see that there was actually an explorer that he knew and recognized because they came into India at some point. And so he knew that in some of the history of that explorer. And so he knew which one to go back to. And then Ryan takes that explorer. Do you think he heard him or just chose it on his own? Because Arun did say it out loud.
Yeah, I mean, well, if Arun said it out loud, then I would think that he might have heard him. Like, so why didn't he do that the first time? Like, why didn't he look? Did he not know the? Well, he must have known the names were on the side of the boat, though. He just didn't look.
He didn't look at enough. I think he just like took a guess, hoping that.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
It was definitely a mistake. Like if you don't know how to row, you should know for sure. Like if you would need to look at each and every one of them, and if you don't know, then you can take a guess, especially if you don't know how to row very well.
Yeah,
like rowing around in a circle with the wrong answer.
Yeah, if he didn't know for sure, he should have looked at all of them so that he could at least pick one, right? Like that he thought maybe. Like, don't leave any.
Now, it did bother me a little bit that Natalia, I should have done this one. I should have done this one. Oh, I should have done this one. Should she have? And if she should have, why didn't she?
Yeah.
She seems to always like says like you do this one, and then like if her dad doesn't do it well, she's like, oh, I should have done this one. But she never seems to actually be like back and forth, being like, oh, maybe I should, or you know what I mean, like considering doing it. It's always like Arun's doing it, and she doesn't want to do it necessarily. And then like as soon as he doesn't do it very well, she's like, oh, I should have done it.
Yeah, indecisiveness has sort of been a thing throughout their journey on the race, but I would say a lot with her, right? With Natalia. So
she's not, it doesn't seem to be very sure of her decisions.
Yeah.
And so she would rather her dad do it and then be sure that she would have done a better job after he's already given it a go. She doesn't like to, it doesn't
Which
seem like
kind
she
of reflects their driving, right? Like that kind of reflects their driving as well. Like it's sort of like she couldn't she couldn't pull the trigger on which way to go.
Oh my God, I would be so frustrated with her. Oh my goodness. I mean, I would have to be, well, I'd be the standard driver. Man, like I would be flipping out on her, I think. Because like I like things to be clear. I really not a fan of wishy-washy. Like just give me the facts, like say correct, don't say right unless you want me to turn right. Like it's just like I'd be letting her have it for sure. You'd be, if you're watching me on the race, you'd be like, oh, I hate that Chantele girl. She's so mean to Natalia. Okay, so Ryan does end up getting this task done, and he's out of there. I don't know if Arun took a long time after, because it seemed like this task kept them from being able to catch up at all. So I don't know if he went back a couple more times with other poets or the wrong explorers, but it seemed like they were there a lot longer after than just like maybe finding one and going back.
Yeah, it seemed like they were done at this point. Writing was on the wall.
Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo, an explorer. I wish. He's very cute. I'm actually thinking of watching. His wife has a reality show on Netflix, and I kind of want to see what their life is like. Like it's kind of like all about her and like what's it's like to be married to him, and being kind of like a socialite and a mother of a great rich soccer player. So I'm gonna watch that soon.
Very rich.
So I heard Will and James from last season got contacted for CBS The Challenge. I did hear that, and probably Ryan and Desi and Raquel and Kayla. I haven't heard, obviously, from anybody from this season, but I did hear about Will and James. I've heard about pretty much everybody from BB23 except for Big D. Big D, I heard, was contacted for the main season of The Challenge, which I'm just like, CBS just knows how to ruin things sometimes. It's true. It's true. Stick to your own lane.
Isn't the challenge like about some physical activities as well? Like, are they gonna have a couch out there? Because that's all he did.
He only slept on the couch. I know. And he thinks he's just like, oh, I'd be so good at the challenge. He thinks he'd be so good. And I think it's because they have one elimination challenge that's it's called Hall Brawl. And so basically it's like two people are at ends of a hallway and they have to run into each other and run through each other, maybe go through and ring a bell, go through and climb up and ring a bell. There's just different variations of Hall Brawl. And so him being of size, he would be able to win that. And I think that he just wants to be able to win something where size, it takes over the guy that weighs 100 pounds less than him. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I can think of.
But then he's got to do all the other tasks.
He probably wouldn't do well in the other tasks. Like I can't even imagine them, like if we're looking at just comparatively with what's his name, Akbar, like how he was too big for some of these, like he didn't seem very overweight at all. Like he's probably tall, and he was probably heavier than maybe the average, maybe like 50 pounds, 60 pounds heavier than Ryan or Dusty, but like he's not quite super large, you know what I mean? And so the fact that he wasn't able to do a few of these tasks, I can't imagine how much they would have to do. Like sometimes these things with harnesses, like where they're walking across beams, where they're falling, like I don't know, like he's heavy.
Yeah. I don't see him doing that. Like the one I watched with you where they were doing the trucks. I don't see him jumping from truck to truck. That's not happening.
No. Hi, Jelly Donut. Hi, Chantele and Ron. I have a list of who has so far been called for CBS The Challenge. How about, when will I talk about that? Do you know what, Jelly Donut? On Saturday evening, I'm going to be going live with Chris and Drew from Angel Cake Entertainment, and we're going to be talking about the challenge. So if you want to maybe save that for then, or if you want to email it to or message me, and I'll bring it up then. But I think that will be good because we're talking about the challenge stuff. So
what is the Great Race? What is the Great Race circle in his profile?
I feel like Jelly Donuts is a she, but I'm not sure. But
sorry,
Jelly, I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. Jelly, what was the Great Race again? I know it's on your Instagram as well. Please let us know. It might be an online race. I don't remember.
And I'm Phil anyway. So we've all.
I said wrong and I didn't even catch it. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what, Jelly? Like, Ron is his partner, so
we're basically the same person.
Same sense of humor. They just celebrated their anniversary, so congratulations. Wedding anniversary, correct? Right?
Right? Yes.
I got bored of the Great Race. Pretend it's not a thing. Okay. It's not a thing.
Gone.
Not a thing. Okay, so the next task is to choose a sardine can and replicate it by painting it on a door. I think this was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Was there any can that you would have preferred to do?
Nothing stood out to me.
Aruna Natalia's one that they ended up doing seemed the easiest. It just had like a couple colors and it was just like kind of lines and stuff like that. I feel like that it seemed the easiest when you looked at it after. But Kim and Penn, I believe, chose the mermaid.
The mermaid one.
It was hard.
Was that the ever? Yes, because the tuna. There was like a tuna fish one. Wasn't that the girl? Did the girls
write them down?
One with a fish. There was I think the girls picked or sardine.
Sardine was the boys.
Was the boys?
Remember the two, the red and black sardines?
Okay.
So they're all pretty much there at the same time. So Kim and Penn had a pretty big head start. Then Raquel and Kayla show up. Dusty and Ryan show up. So they're all working on their doors pretty much at the same time. Aruna and Natalia are nowhere to be seen. So Kim and Penn get a few checks and they get it wrong because there's certain shadows that in some of the lettering that wasn't filled in. They're being very specific. So how is your eye for detail?
My eye for detail's okay, but the actual painting, this is going to be a little bit more you.
Yeah, but it was outlined.
I'm not a good painter.
Oh boy, how did we do this? You can't fill it. Like you can't paint by numbers. No. Oh boy. I probably would do this.
My arts and crafts are not great.
Oh dear. Okay, good to know. I mean, I'm not like a amazing artist, but I have studied art for most of my life, so I know how to paint. But I don't have the gift of painting. Right. But I definitely was an art minor and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I learned how the reflection and how to draw the shape and shadow. But I don't have like the flair of being able to draw like a face by itself. Right. I wish I did though. It was something that I wish I could be an artist. My sisters, or both of them, are really good visual artists, but I didn't get that hand, unfortunately. So they finally, after 3 times, Raquel and Kayla actually pull out the correct door before Kim and Penn. So they take the lead, which was like back. Wow. Like I was very impressed by Raquel and Kayla for being able to do this. But then they make a cardinal error. They forgot their map at their door. And it seemed like they forgot their clue as well. But like, I guess it was from a previous leg, so it didn't matter. But I was like, why didn't they even think to go back and get it? Instead, they're like, no, let's just keep going and stop and get a map. So do you think that that was the right decision for them to not go back and get their map?
I think that that's always a risk because you never know, depending on the season, what the penalties are in those situations. We've seen before, if you don't have your clue or you didn't grab a clue or you lose your clue, you get penalized sometimes. And, there's always key information in those clues that you never know. You might have needed something from that clue for the challenge up ahead. And it was a risk.
We would have gone back. We would have gone back. Like, for sure. Because, yeah, I would definitely not want to, like, have kept up with pace just because, like, oh, we left early, but then lose out for a time penalty for the reasons that you've already stated. So, yeah, we would have gone back. I was surprised that they didn't go back. I was worried for them also that they didn't go back. I'm like, oh my God, what if this cost them getting into the finale, that they needed that clue or something. So I was really worried for them. Pretty much after that, though, Kim and Penn figured out that there was one letter that they didn't have shaded properly. So they were out of there. Ryan and Dusty are, still doing a pretty good job. Almost done when Arun and Natalia show up. And Arun and Natalia are just taking their sweet time, just painting. And Ryan and Dusty attempted how many times? So many times. Like, they kept on asking for a check and the woman kept on saying no, because their particular sardine can, they needed to paint the doorknob black. Would you have noticed this?
Yeah, I think I would have.
I think I would have too.
Yeah,
especially if they kept on saying no and it looked so perfect. And like, if I just would go through it and be like, oh, this shouldn't be like regular doorknob. I would think it would be black, but I don't, obviously I'm not on the race. So I don't 100% know if I would, but I would imagine so.
Yeah. I mean, you get stressed. So sometimes you forget, but.
Jelly, thank you.
I wish you were my art teacher.
Oh no, was your art teacher mean? That's the worst.
Yeah, I didn't get I wasn't good. I wasn't. It deserved bad marks, but.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear. But like, the school that I went to, though, I had people that were just like these phenomenal painters or artists. Do you know who was an art major? Arissa Cox was an art major. So she has a hand and an eye for art. But I was a dance major, so no, it wasn't my forte, but I definitely took many years of art classes. And like, I remember having to like draw my room and draw my the front of my house and like all these different drawing tasks. And like, we did some really cool stuff. We had to do like etchings and making tiles and stuff like that. So we learned different types of printing styles, looming. Like, we did like a lot of very interesting creative art stuff and like, replicating different styles of art and stuff like that. So it was a really cool class. And then there's one thing, and it's actually something, if I ever bump into Arissa again, I'm going to ask her if she remembers. But every year when you're in grade, I think it was grade 5, you would have art alive. So you do like an art, you had to make like an art piece of some sort, and then you get into groups. And then with your dance class, you had to bring that art piece alive. And so like, you'd have to make a collective, like have like outfits and costumes that would reflected either one or all of your art pieces. And so I remember Arissa's, I can't remember the painting, but it was like they were wearing like leotards that had like different like strokes on it, and they're dancing to, oh my God, how does the song go? Bum bum bum, ba-da-dum bum 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 bum. Bum bum bum. I can't remember how it goes though properly. You know the song.
Yes.
Yeah, anyways, so I just remember her dancing because I was in grade 4 and I remember seeing all the Art Alive performances, and she was dancing her Art Alive piece to that song with, I can't remember the 2 girls now. If I saw a yearbook, I'd remember their names now, but I just remember that moment when she's dancing to that song for Art Alive. There's a story for you.
That's awesome.
Silly. Okay, my art teacher was Karen, was a Karen, so everyone would just draw stick figures to piss her off. It was hilarious. You guys are bold. Um, he needs to get Arissa on the pod. I mean, before she got too famous. Before we were friends on Facebook, but now she's like it's considered to be like a celebrity. So if I were to get her, I'd have to like go through some of her friends that are still in like close contact with her. But I'll try.
Right.
She just might be too famous
Try.
now. She might be too famous, but we'll see.
Well,
I will.
you're too famous.
Too famous to
You're
get in
getting
touch
too
with
famous.
her without like let's talk to her manager, talk to her agent. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
She might be too, I don't think she'd answer my Instagram posts, but maybe I'll tag her. She does answer my tweets. So
Well, I've hired Trevor Boris for events. So do you want me to talk to Trevor to see if he'll get in contact with Marissa?
Really?
Trevor does all this. Yeah.
No, well, Trevor is my friend's family friend, and so she says that if I ever wanted to be in touch with them, like she would definitely like liaison that up.
Love it.
Oh,
Look at
oh.
this.
Look at this. Look at this.
Reality, realness
that's what I'm working on.
events.
Well, do you know what? I went to the live premiere yesterday of Big Brother Canada, and it was hosted by Andrew from season 6. And so Andrew did say to me that he would help me in any way that he can. So like, I'm like, I was just thinking,
where's Andrew?
Get him on the pod. So
get Andrew on the pod.
Yeah, so I think I'll get Andrew on the pod, and then maybe then we can like branch out to getting Arissa on the pod.
Yeah,
I'll do. It could happen. Maybe in the next year. We'll see if I can finagle that a little bit. So where are we? So we're going to the next roadblock. And Kim and Penn get there first because we know that Raquel and Kayla had to have a little bit of their own detour without having their map. So who's down for the count? And it's going to be the other person. So it's going to be me. Where basically they had to count all the panels of this church. It was a church, correct? That was pretty difficult because they had to stay in a certain area and they couldn't actually just like walk down and count it. And obviously like it was a far distance and everything kind of gets smaller and smaller prospectively. So this would have been challenging, I think.
I think so. I think once you know what the number is around, you're getting, I mean, it would be something very hard to get on the first try. We did. I think the girls did get it on the first.
Yeah, the girls did, and Natalia did.
So yeah, so you know it's doable, but. Oof.
I think how I would do it, and obviously this is me from my couch being like, I would do it this way, but I would probably see if there's like a pattern. So if it's like, okay, so for every 3 that I can really see, like 3 frames, how many like, you know, spaces on the bottom are there? I'm like, okay, so there's 5. So I would probably count like how many 3s and then know that that means 5. You know what I mean? Like I'd probably do it with something that I can see more clearly and have that represent a number, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't be counting each and every one of them. I would probably be counting the things that were bigger and more obvious, and then count, and then that would be like a section. So like, okay, so one section, okay, I can see that there's 11 sections, so that means 11 times and like 5 or whatever. Okay, 55 there and 55 whatever. So that's how I think I would do it. But poor Penn,
that makes sense.
Poor Penn did not do this. He really was trying to count it, and he was running all the way to the man for a check, and he was wrong the first time and the second time, and I believe on the third attempt, no, he didn't get it. So he's still third attempt, he did it. But Kayla and Raquel show up, and Kayla gets it on her first try.
Yeah,
106. Yeah. She just got it. And after the third attempt, I believe, or even maybe it was the fourth, I can't remember now. I didn't write it down. Penn came back and he finally got 106. So I was like, oh my gosh, like if they really lose like this leg because they can't count this because their eyes are older, I was worried for poor Penn. Was worried. And thank goodness Dusty and Ryan didn't like have a meltdown. After their 10th attempt, they did find, like Ryan was like, oh, I'd be so annoyed if it was like the doorknob. And it's like, yeah, it's totally the doorknob. And it was totally the doorknob.
It was the
So
doorknob.
finally back in the race. Now trying to wait, and Aruna and Natalia were still at the door when they figured it out. So they had to pick up the pace now. They were being leisurely when the boys were still there, but then they decided, why weren't they picking up the pace the whole time? Like when you could see someone in your sight, that's when you should be like, oh my God, let's try to pass them.
Yeah, you're in last. Like, pick up the pace.
Pick up the pace, please.
Pace.
Hi, our Nunez. Okay, so columns of the courtyard on either side in front of the church. Thank you for the actual, I think I'm going to remember things and then I don't write them down and then I don't remember them. So thank you for being my memory. More shade on one side and sunny on the other side made it more challenging. But like I would assume that they were identical. So I would probably just look at what side was more obvious and count those and double it. That's what I would try first anyways. But who knows? The monk was a quarter mile away. You have all the facts. Thank you. That's pretty far. To like have to run back and forth often. Like
so you do want to make sure you got it right. Yeah.
Definitely. So I definitely was really happy with how well Kayla did, though. So she was out of there, and Raquel was so proud of, and I was proud of them for doing so well because they are going to the pit stop right now, and they are going to the final three, leaving in first place. Well, they're going to be leaving together, but like they were the first place team. I was like, good on you, girls.
I like that. That was great.
And they won a trip to St. Lucia. Have you ever been to St. Lucia?
Yes.
Me too. I actually ended up having an impromptu layover there because we had a mechanical on the plane, and so we weren't able to leave. So we had to stay overnight at a beautiful Royalton resort in St. Lucia. It was gorgeous.
Oh, poor you.
Poor me. Poor you. Oh, speaking of poor me, I was not planning on going back to flying, and then I heard that we just merged with WestJet. I was like, that could be useful. So I've been reconsidering my thoughts about this because WestJet is very useful for having flight benefits,
Yes, yeah.
So Kim and Penn get their second. I'm still happy for Kim and Penn. I feel like I think it's a good place, a humbling place to be in second place going into the final leg, because feeling you're in front and you have to stay in front, or like that you have to continue to do well, is harder, I would say, harder than if you're in second place and being like, okay, we're in second place now, we can do this, we can like get first place now. So I think it was a better psychologically a place to be in with second place, like kind of leaving in second place, even if they're all leaving at the same time. I still think psychologically it's a better place to be leaving in for the finale.
Yeah, I think both of these two teams, they were very much back and forth. And so it was, I think for both of them, like I think for the girls in some ways it was better for them to finish first for them, because like they need to have that, like we can beat all these teams. Whereas, I think Kim and Penn, they do well when they're in competition. So
that makes sense.
This is good going into the finals. So
I agree with you. So Dusty and Ryan, they only have 2 attempts or 3 attempts, and then they fight. And Aruna and Talia come and they get it in 1 attempt, but Dusty and Ryan were already ahead of them. They get to the pit stop third, and Aruna and Natalia unfortunately do not make it to the final leg of the race. Were you sad?
No,
I wasn't.
They did well. I did not mind them this episode as much as, because like last episode, for some reason they were getting on my nerves. But you know me, I get crotchety sometimes. But this episode was a good way for them to go, and I don't think that they needed to be in the finals. I think that the right 3 teams are in the finals.
Yeah, I wonder how they would have done though. I wouldn't have mind seeing how they would have done, because there wasn't that much driving, but Yeah, I think that the final 3 teams though were the most deserving from beginning to end of this season. Like we felt from the beginning that they were going to be the final 3. For sure. Oh, I adore Natalia. They need to be protected at all costs. Okay, sorry, Jelly. Sorry, Jelly. I do love them to a certain extent, but they're not the greatest racers, but they have heart, and I love that they're super fans.
Yeah.
I also love the final 3 montage, just showing clips of like what they've experienced so far, their voiceovers. I really would be so proud of myself, like proud of us if we got to the final 3. Like that would be a really amazing moment.
Oh, I mean, how amazing must it feel to know that you were able to get there? Like, I mean, it'd be so nice.
It would be so nice. So nice. Hi, Travel the World. Thank you for being here. So we started a little bit early because I forgot that it was going to be a double episode, and I wanted to everybody to be free to watch Big Brother Canada, which starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I didn't want to overlap. So that's why we started a little bit earlier. But we're basically on the final episode. So you kind of only missed, the previous one. No big deal. So they take the Amazing Race plane. They're going to Los Angeles, which is going to be their final racing city. What did you think about Phil acting as a flight attendant, giving direction?
The flight attendant and playing jokes on them about their clues being in the overhead compartment. Oh, no, sorry, being in the front
seat pocket in front of you.
Oh, so cute.
It reminded me
interacting.
Of life. And I guess like the people that were on the front of the plane were all the crew, because like I was like, wait, you have extras? And like, oh, I guess maybe it's the crew sitting sporadically. Yeah. But I definitely love that moment.
Good. This season he's been good, but I haven't like had a Phil moment that stands out to me. I don't believe this, so it was nice to have this one. Like usually there's like at least one episode something happens at the pit stop. Like I remember like Team Cha-Cha-Cha's while Danny being like in oil and like chasing him around to try and give him a hug, or when Phil's father was there in New Zealand and that. So it's nice, but yeah.
I loved it, especially being a flight attendant, because we do have to say stuff like that all the time. Yeah. I probably still remember all of my like commands and all like my speeches that I have to say, like the overhead wing speeches. Like, yeah. So I found it fun just as somebody that has experienced that life, that just to see him do it was cute. Jelly Donut flight attendant Phil on Big Phil. Yes, it would have been great if he was wearing like an outfit that was flight attendant E, but we can't ask. Yes. We can't have it all. So they have to go to the Westin Hotel, and there are 4 towers that each of them have a clue box with a lock on it. So when they get there, though, so basically they had to. What did the clue say exactly? Did I not write it down? I must have.
The ups and downs.
Well, they kept on saying it incorrectly, but it was saying. Dusty kept on saying the up or down, and it was saying the up and down, I think it was like, and find me going up and down. And he was like going up or down. And so Dusty was confused, and Ryan he doesn't really assert his opinion. He's very, very flexible, like, and compliant and easygoing. And so I think that like, we were before saying that was a great quality that Ryan had, but I think that this was actually negatively affected.
Yeah, the time to go. Yeah. If you think something, you've got to say it. Yeah.
Well, this was kind of like, okay, let's go back down the stairs. Okay, let's go in the elevator. Okay, he was being very agreeable, but he wasn't offering any sort of change in like what they were doing, how they were trying to figure out what this was. But Kim and Penn, they basically were able to figure it out pretty quickly. Sorry. Raquel and Kate spotted it first. Then Kim and Penn spotted theirs. And then Dusty and Ryan really took a long time figuring it out. No. And finally,
and they even said, "Let's take the elevator. Let's take the elevator down and check." Look at the elevator.
You just like oh,
But
what's that out there? It just seems very strange that they would have not thought to look in their surroundings a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they kind of just like breezed, look out in the their view, but they didn't really take a look and see like, okay, well, what is going up and down? Even if it's up or down, like is there anything going up and down? Like, oh, well, those elevators are going up and down. Oh, there's a clue on them. So I feel like that if Ryan was a little bit more assertive, they might have been like, hey, like, let's not leave here yet. Let's just take this in because it shouldn't be that hard. It doesn't say go back inside and find your clue, you know? So, oh, wait. Yeah, they thought they had to count all the stairs. Oh my gosh, like that's so bad. I mean, imagine they really did like count them from the bottom. Brutal.
oh,
Probably a good time for
that,
Ryan.
at least that would be understandable. Like I like that would be something that would be up and down. I would get it, but like
not
their
from
whole
what
thing
that
was
clue says.
not for what like they said. Let's go out and check it. I was like, well, why? Well, where are you going? I didn't understand where Ryan and Dusty were planning to go.
Got it, the clue for sure, like a hint when they saw that the other two clue boxes were already taken and done, that it must have been something way simpler than they were trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So that would have tipped me off personally, being like, okay, well, they must have got it. Maybe it was something outside. Like, I wouldn't think it would have been stairs. Count the stairs, because they would say count the stairs. If they made the cast count the stairs, I would have lost count after like 20. You definitely counting stairs are challenging. Go ahead.
Yeah, but remember what the tip is if you're counting, get told to count stairs, go find somebody and get them to Google the facts on the building, because we saw that on the Amazing Race Australia, and almost all these buildings have the number of floors or the number of steps and all written down, so that it's pretty easy to find, right? That's what you want to do.
That's the hack. Thank God I'm with you.
That's the hack.
On this break.
Go to the lobby and use the computer.
So yeah, go to the lobby, use the computer, and then count the stairs to double check that it's not like you know they're counting it on the race like the extra top stair, or they're not. You know, you get the drift. So Kim and Penn though. Did they show up first? Yeah, show up to the pinatas first, which was surprising. I don't know how they were able to overtake the flight attendants, but they did. And so they had to find 3 parts of a clue in 3 different pinatas, with one partner blindfolded and the other one the caller. So sorry, Phil, you'd be blindfolded.
Oh, all right. That's all right. I can figure out. I'm good at taking directions. That's good.
It'll just get you swinging that thing.
That's right. And I've got rage.
Yes. Yay. So Raquel and Kayla are there, and they seem to have a really good system. I'm not sure why Kim was having so much trouble. Maybe because she's shorter or whatnot, but it seems as though all the pinatas that Kim was making Penn smash, they didn't have the clues in it. So I knew they had to find a taco, they had to find a small donkey, and they had to find a star. And it just didn't seem like Penn was finding them very quickly. But with Kayla as the caller and Raquel hitting the pinatas, it seems like there was maybe 2 that were done extra. But also Kayla's strategy was, hey, when you find it, just let the clue stay on the ground. I'll get you to go back and collect them after, because she didn't have any pockets or anything. So I thought that was a good strategy.
I agree. Keep them in the mindset of what I'm doing. So right now I'm breaking pinatas, and then I'll find the clues. Yeah.
Yes. So they were able to get their 3 clues quickly, and they were going to be going to, so it said 6465 Sunset Boulevard. It's for the SIR Hollywood, which is pretty fun what they're going to be doing. So have you ever heard of becoming a Foley artist?
I did not know that was what it was called. But I did know that there were people that did the additional sound effects for missing sounds when they're filming, and they need to enhance the sound, or like something went wrong with the tape. They've got it, and they need to put it back in sort of sound. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. That's a fun way to see how they do it.
So fun. I feel like maybe someone in the chat can let me know, but I feel like there's another show or something that has done this. Maybe they did it in Amazing Race Canada. Like I've seen it, people have to do
Okay,
this type of
do
work
this.
before. I just don't remember where it was, but I think it's super fun and amazing. They also have it's called Walla Walla, and so background noise is things that people do. And like I've been hired to just be like like and just like talk or like and just be background like Walla Walla noises and voices if they just need like background murmur like in a
It's like
restaurant or something.
like you're a Sims character.
And so like people like will be multiple voices just like saying not nondescript words is Walla Walla. So I thought it was really fun to see Foley artists at work. And I also love that what they were going to be doing is making the sounds for iconic 5 iconic Amazing Race moments. So I know you remembered all of them, but what was it like to see that damn watermelon in the face?
Right. Well, I mean, the watermelon is probably one of the most worst things that has happened on the race to somebody. Like that's awful. Like what happened there, and they got it all on tape, which was fantastic.
Oh my god! Do we know if like should she get injured? I don't remember.
She probably should. I mean, she could have had a concussion from it, but I know that she said that she felt it, and her face was like swollen from it. But yeah, that's tough. Obviously, I mean the Ox, Colin, and the Ox, and from season 5 when he has the breakdown. Like that is Amazing Race Meltdown, and that was. I think that was the title of the book when they made a book about the Amazing Race. That was my ox is broken. So they were good. I thought they were fun little tasks. It's nice when they remember the past.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Jelly Donuts screamed when they saw the watermelon task. Yes, it was a throwback. It was a throwback, and it was nice. It was nice to see all of it, and just nice to see like the different materials. Like you saw like the tape feed that we pretty much don't see anymore because everything's digitalized. But using that to make the sound of the hay and just like it was just really fun, a really great task. And I really felt, I don't know if you felt this way, but these last 2 legs felt the most like Amazing Race.
Yeah, they were the most difficult legs probably, but they were also the most, I agree, Amazing Race feeling legs. Like it felt like these were tests that we have seen throughout all of the race where you go, oh, that'd be fun or that'd be challenging. Like, yeah, it didn't feel like, it felt like this was how it was supposed to end. This was how it was going to end. So
it was good. It was so good. I just loved it. So Kim and Penn are still at the pinatas. I don't know what the timing is for this, but she couldn't see the little donkey. And so she's just like, okay, we'll just do them all. And I was actually frustrated with Kim a little bit here because it seemed like she was giving up. And I was like, wait, why are you giving up? Like you're so close to winning this race. And I was like, if they don't win, it was this moment that lost it for them because she kind of just deflated a little bit when she couldn't find the donkey.
Agreed. That should have, like, that's not the answer. Do them all. No, you don't have time for that.
Not enough time at all. So I was checking Brooke and Claire's Insta all night to see if they posted anything about the finale. Brooke? I can't see.
Brooke and Claire. So Brooke and Claire, that was the watermelon.
Oh, okay. Yes. But I can't remember what they look like.
They were a riot. They were actually like a team. They're a team that I think people would love to see come back. If you got to pick teams, they would definitely be a team.
I need to look at their face again.
There were a lot of people disappointed that they didn't win. They did really well. It was the season with them and the first ever female team to win the Doctors. Season 17, I think it was. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys and your memory is like phenomenal. It's so impressive. But I seriously have like thousands of hours of TV in my brain. So I don't know how you guys can
Oh yeah.
manage
Oh
to
yeah.
keep all those stats. It's very impressive. But finally, they do see the tiny donkey, and she realized it was being hidden by one of the bigger pinatas. And so they were able to. Penn, this whole time, had been putting the clues in his pocket, so they didn't have to go back and collect it. And so they were able to move on. I can't tell
Right.
how much after Raquel and Caleb, but they get over to the Foley artist studio seemingly pretty quickly. So they're all in separate rooms, which is and they're soundproof. So you couldn't tell where the other teams were or how
Yeah.
well they were doing or hear if they're being successful or not. So I thought that was really nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah, and then we're getting close to the end of the leg. Yeah, this was fantastic. Fantastic way to end it.
It's nerve-wracking. Really kind of missed that. I thought Kim and Penn were doing good for most part. I laughed when Penn got dinged for talking, reminding me of the moment with the priest. Yeah, don't talk to the priest. Yeah, well, I mean, we know that Penn talks a lot. And so when he is in that room and like he's basically talking out loud all the steps that they're supposed to be making, but you're recording sound, which means that you have to be quiet other than the sound that you're intentionally trying to record. So it was probably a humbling moment for Penn being like,
Yeah.
quiet.
Don't talk to the priest.
So they both of the teams. So Raquel and Kayla, they had 8 tries before they were able to be successful, and it seemed like Kayla was having a little bit of a breakdown at one point because it was her timing that ended up being off, which was making them not be able
Yeah.
to get it. And so Raquel's like, "Well, do you want to switch?" And she's just like, "No." I was like, "Uh-oh, is this like going to be their first fight on the race?" But they were able to center, and finally, after their 8th try, they managed to move on to the next part of this finale. So they were very excited. There was one point also though before that they got it. They're like, "Well, we don't. Kim and Penn are not even near," and they're like, "That this is soundproof. We don't know that." I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. The door's closed. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's trying to motivate us. But they do get it and they get to leave. They're very happy about this. After their 6th try, though, we find that Kim and Penn were able to get the sounds in sync. They're obviously very excited about this, and they leave to go to the next location. And they see Raquel and Kayla still getting directions from somebody. And they immediately walk up to that same person, get the same directions that Raquel and Kayla got. And they're like, "Don't tell them." And they're like, "Oh, we should have like made them not say anything." And I'm like, "You know what? You should just not be worrying about that. You should just go.
Go.
Get out of there." So I felt that Ryan needed a little bit of urgency with the whole pinata, but like because he was a caller, yeah, and he was just like, "Okay, it's just over there. Okay, yeah, it's right, yeah, in front of you." I'm like, "Ryan,
Yeah.
you need some urgency here. I love that you're chill sometimes and you mellow out Dusty, but like you need to put the pressure on a little bit." So
Yeah.
he needed
Did
a little
you
bit
get
of
the
Dusty
vibe
to
that they knew that they were
check
really
out.
far behind?
I mean, they don't
Did you
know
get that
what's coming
feeling?
up next, so I would still
Yeah.
be hustling. It's still for $1 million. Like
Yeah.
anything could happen. So I would be hustling. I would be like, "No, we're not deciding that we're losing this race until we run past on the finish line." So I would not allow us to go there. So were you annoyed when Kim said that she follows Foley artists on TikTok?
Um. No, that
No.
didn't surprise me because, like, I actually thought that this was going to be a good challenge for them because with them doing podcasting, I'm sure that there was sound, but I think that they pay attention to videos and stuff, and they edit their videos, and yeah.
Laugh my ass off. Kayla was like, "Raquel, go meditate and focus over there. Let me scream in frustration." Oh my god, when they're like, "I just want to choke that chicken," and like the chicken was like, I was like, The editors were like loving that moment because the chicken head just like definitely would have wanted choked chicken. So yes, they got it off their 8th attempt, and they're going to be going to the LA Galaxy what do they do? Practice, and it's at the Dignity Health Sports Park. That must be a new name because my dad used to live in California, and I don't remember Dignity Health Sports Park being a thing. So if anybody knows what
that's a
an
sponsorship.
old name used to be, because I was just like, what is that? It's not familiar to me. I feel like I would remember that. So LA traffic would be stressful though if like I was on the race and like I knew how close behind me Kim and Penn were, and like I have this LA traffic, like stressed. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were stressed as well. So Raquel and Kayla, though, wait, did they get there first? I think they did. Yeah, they get to, this is the final task. And we know that the final task is going to be some sort of memory thing, remembering bits and pieces of things that we had that happened in the race. Exactly. And so for this one, because it's like a tennis practice center, they had tennis rackets that have different pictures on it of events in the race with some red herrings or some like, misleading ones. And then they had on the wall different clues that needed to be lined up. So what did you think about this as a final task?
I thought it was great. Like, I mean, we've seen things like this. I remember one that stands out is the surfboards, where Luke and Margie, where Luke wasn't able to get it done. But yeah, they're it's a good memory task. I thought that the clues were good and they made you think. I was surprised. I thought that it was a little bit easier, and the way that they were talking, they were pulling things out and they seemed to get it all. I was surprised at how many attempts both teams took. I thought they did both take quite a number of attempts, which was kind of surprising. So.
Well, I mean, what ended up happening though was, so the only one that Kim and Penn got wrong was the coin. And it's funny that coin came back to haunt them, because they probably didn't look. They're like, "Oh my God, it's here!" and they just give the rock to the oracle, and they were out of there. So they didn't really study what that looked like. And so, if there was 3 or 4 different coins, they might not have realized that which one it actually was. But when they're hearing the fault, because there was somebody that was judging fault multiple times, they're thinking maybe they had more wrong than just the coin. Because if I'm not mistaken, Kim and Penn, when they got there, they only had the coin wrong, and then they started messing around with other things.
Right.
And Raquel and Kayla had the coin and the candies wrong, and then they started to mess around with everything. So it was the coin that got both of them for the most part.
What was cool about this task also was that it wasn't just like what happened at the pit stop or what was said at the pit stop or certain things that you could identify easily on it. It was moments on the race that, you're not, who's thinking about the candy that's popping out of the pinata? You'd probably think, what did the pinata look like and what did the clue look like? You're not necessarily going focus on that candy because at that moment the clue drops, so you're focused on the clue. So
what, and also Raquel was blindfolded, so she definitely may not have noticed.
Right. Yeah. So very interesting.
It was definitely a little bit more challenging. That one, the few that you might not have paid attention to, but I think that they did that on purpose to equalize. Because like if it was all very straightforward, then Kim and Penn would have probably run away with it, or Raquel and Kayla because they got there first.
Yeah.
So Nuna says, we're Dusty and Ryan stuck in traffic a long time on the way to the pits, the Pinata. I think so. I stopped. I checked out from them. Kind of. I felt that they weren't in it anymore and they weren't hustling. And so I just didn't think that, I just checked out from their racing experience. I'm sorry. Yeah. I believe the sports park is on a college campus. Okay, maybe that's why I'm not familiar. Okay. Google says it was formerly a Home Depot center and StubHub. I think StubHub sounds more familiar. This would be from like the Home 90s Depot. When I would have, like when my dad lived in California, it was in like 96, 95, 96, around there, like in the 90s. That makes sense then. No memory task will ever top the 30 airplane task. I don't know. Remember that one?
Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. So it was a whole bunch of. What actually was it at nighttime? For some reason, I think it was, and there was a whole bunch of like supplies, and they had to remember those pieces and then build them. For some reason, I think that was it, and it was like real. There was like things that were off on them, but maybe I'm mixing up the last task. But I think that was the airplane task.
I
Um,
don't remember.
yeah,
I should like take it. Well, if I was ever going on the race, I would go back and obviously
yeah.
learn all of them. I'd
I
watch
did
every
just
single
watch
season.
that one again recently because that was the one with Cody and Jessica from Big Brother.
Oh, yes. Okay. If it was Cody and
Yeah,
Jessica, then they were
yeah,
separately, they had to put together a plane and then they had to like,
yeah. They had to like put it all together, and it was like based on things throughout the leg, the legs, that were the clues on it. And if I remember, like all the teams were like just suffering through it for the longest time, and then they got it right, kind of by luck. But yeah, it's like, oh, they got
I
it.
need to see it again, but like I do remember a little bit about that task.
Yeah,
It was definitely an interesting one though. I like the creativity behind it. That damn coin, yes, Adrian, damn
right.
coin. If they were confident about the other ones, they should have left all alone. Absolutely, and just had gone through all the possibilities for the coin and the candy. Easy for us to say on from our couch. Well, what I
Yeah,
saw, I think it was Raquel and Kayla. They'd mentioned that when they kept on hearing fault, 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 fault so many times, that they just started thinking that they must have had more wrong, and so it just made them panic. And
right.
they just thought, they're like, oh my God, I must have more wrong. I must have more wrong. It must be something else. I must be missing something. And they weren't, they stopped being systematic about it and rational, and they started to panic. So that's
Yeah,
why they started
and
moving other things around.
that's what you've got to do. You got to be logical and go, okay, what's the one that I know is wrong? Change it, change it, change it. What's the next one that I think might be wrong? But then go back to changing the first one that you thought was wrong a couple times as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, tough.
So the season 30 plane task had the teams collect parts of a plane with stickers that are all parts of the race, but each leg
Right.
needs to be represented on each sticker and part. It's like a memory logic puzzle. Yeah, I thought it was so
That's
smart.
right.
So great. Thank you, Adrian. I'm gonna go get ready for BB Can tonight. Praying for Summer, Helena, and Jess. I love the cast, so I don't even know who I love the most right now. But I'm down to see what happens. I wish that we had feeds already because I just like I want to know more. But yes, I will be going live right after the episode with Jonathan to talk about episode 1, talk about this episode tonight, the eviction. So thanks, Shelly, for
So
being here.
I'm going to quickly, Big Brother Canada, quickly talk with you. Do we know who's up, or
No.
is there any info? Nothing. There's no info. Okay, good, good. I haven't been paying
There's
attention
no
to that. I
feeds up.
did
We
watch
don't
the
have any
first
feeds
episode.
yet. There's no
Okay,
feeds.
perfect.
So we're all in the
Okay,
same boat. And we're almost done this episode. So they had to solve this riddle, the memory quiz, and Kim and Penn, they do end up figuring out the coin and switching it out and having everything else correct. And they do hear game, set, match. And I got like I'm gonna cry right now because like what we got it, and like they were just like, oh my God, like are we running, is this the finish line? And like they know it's the finish line, like it's
right.
so the amazing race. And so
And it was
I
right
really
there.
felt for them, like
Yeah.
like they must have felt emotionally like running through that. For as super fans,
Yeah.
as people that worked really hard to get there, you know, as being the oldest representation on this ever, like to do this well. And so yeah, it was pretty emotional for me, and I felt really good about them getting that win.
Yep. And
So they get over.
I mean, I know I love the girls, and I do have to say that I was really impressed with the girls, not like because they were right there, and it was like sort of in your face. They're off to the finish line. It's over, and I thought the girls handled it quite well as well. So it was a nice ending, and it was nice to see the teams back because
Of
I didn't
course.
know how they would do that because of all the COVID stuff. So it was nice.
It was also really nice. So Penn was giving props to the crew, and we had a little moment where we saw how many camera
Yeah.
crews are kind of around them, capturing that moment. So I thought that was really great. I loved them talking about how Kim faced her anxiety, and that's kind of what they wanted to show to everybody and their children, that like, you know, you can still do great things and overcome things even if you have stuff that are kind of in your way. So I just felt that it was a really great ending.
Yeah.
And what was also really cool, and she showed it. So Sarah from Entertainment had the exit interviews for the final three, and Kim showed some of her pictures that she drew for her notes, and they were not a good artist. So you would have been able to do these drawings, Phil. But it was just like, you know, draw like the hat and stuff like that. And I thought it was a very smart way to go about taking notes. So one side she had put pictures, and the other side that put the information about. So it kind of became like a little bit of a flashcard. And so they would practice like, okay, putting things in different order, and then like, okay, so they'll put these in order, and like, you know what I mean? Like using these pictures or like these phrases or these notes. And so they were testing themselves along the way. And I think that using pictures, it was a really smart way to remember things a lot better than just like words in your brain. So
totally. Actually, it made me think of somebody that I know, something that they do that it sounds funny, but it's really effective, is when they're dieting, they draw what they eat. And it's another way of getting into your head subliminally that you're doing a diet, and it works. Like for some reason, like for her, it worked, where like she was like, I'm only going to draw what I ate. It's all going to be accountable. I'll visually see it, what I ate. So I'm not drawing a chocolate cake today. I'm drawing like healthy food. But it also is like reiterating, like, what am I doing and what am I eating and that kind of thing. So yeah, you know, I think that's a good lesson for work and for if you're going to be on the race, or if you have memory problems, draw it, or even just writing it out and physically thinking about what you've seen. It's such a good idea. So.
Well, how they kind of for any memory training type things, they usually want you to create some like really fantastical scene that like you can't unsee. Like the purple elephant is playing a trumpet on Napoleon's shoulder or something like that. Like, so some big scene, and you'll remember that whole scene to remember Napoleon or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think that with drawing the pictures helped memorizing things in a different way, because you're visually seeing it, and then you have the words behind it, and it just makes it just a stronger case for memory. So I thought it was really smart, and like it's something that if I were ever to get onto the Amazing Race, I would be adopting 100%. Definitely taking that one.
Yeah, very smart.
So we didn't really see them, but Ryan and Dusty do end up coming in third. So first place is Kim and Penn, second place is Raquel and Kayla, and third place is Ryan and Dusty. Great race, great season. Thank you so much, Phil, for covering with me. It was such a joy. I think my favorite part is seeing what your backdrop was going to be each week. But it was always really fun. So thank you so much for being here and doing this with me on a weekly basis for this season.
I love doing the race with you. I love hearing from the people that listen to us and how much they enjoy the race. You know, I'm excited to see what is the race going to be in these next future seasons. Like, I'm assuming they'll keep the plane at least for the next one, maybe. But it's gonna be interesting to see where they go and how this world is going to be, and as things open up, you know, hopefully the race will get somewhat the same, but I'm excited for some new things, hopefully too. Hopefully they've taken some time to think about some changes. So.
Hope so. Well, this last episode was probably the best episode, Amazing Race style wise. It was intense. Yeah. It was back and forth. You didn't know somebody was going to win for sure. It was really gripping. Both deserving winners, and I agree with you, Nunes. Definitely congratulations to Kim and Penn. But my heart was broken for the girls. We're like, they're just like, oh, they got it. Oh, so they won. We lost. And it's like, oh, they're so close. They got to the final task first. They could have done it, but it wasn't meant to be. Oh, poor girls.
No, but you know what? They're going to be known as one of the strongest girl teams to ever be on the race. They will be, and I wouldn't be surprised if if they got asked to come back. So.
Aw, thank you, Nunes. So Nunes says it's been great following the season with the two of you. Thanks for all your work and on the recaps. Thank you for being here and correcting us sometimes when we don't have all of our facts.
Oh,
it's
we need that.
Really fun. I mean, sometimes I'm taking notes, but like I'm paying attention at the same time. So if I don't have a rewatch, sometimes I forget little things. So thank you so much. Honestly, being the chat really makes this a lot of fun. I love having the conversation. I love that you guys know all the stats. They know everything that's been going on in the race. So you guys are fans just as much as we are. So you make this fun for us. And so thank you so much, everybody here in the chat. Is this it? Is that it? Are we over?
It's over.
Yeah. Heartbreak.
It's over. It's not Amazing Race Australia. We're not doing this for 8 years. This is it.
I might convince Phil to do US Survivor with me. We'll see. I really hope we get an all-star season. I would love to get an all-star season. The Amazing Race is one show that I don't mind seeing people come back over and over again because it tests new things about them, and people could be strong consistently, but they don't necessarily going to be dominating every single race. And so I don't mind seeing people come back to the Amazing Race. It's one of those shows, kind of like the challenge. I don't mind seeing people come back to the challenge. I love seeing new people on Big Brother though, which is coming up. So 9 p.m. Eastern, find me and Jonathan live to talk about episode 1 and episode 2 of Big Brother Canada 10. Do you have anything you want to share for the last time to our Amazing Race friends?
No, not tonight, but I hope that I'll be back. I'm sure I will. I'm sure season 34 will happen.
Oh
yeah, 34.
Sorry, Adrian. I'm not wearing glasses.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. All winners season would be very
would love
cool.
That.
That would be better than All Stars.
And I think actually Amazing Race, that is actually possible.
There's a lot of teams.
Yeah.
I would that would be an exceptional season. So yes, I'm with you, Adrian. I would love to see an all winners season. Okay, so you have nothing to share? Well, peoples, if you can just maybe subscribe, that would be fun. Just do it. Be part of the fun, part of the crew. Hang out with us and like this video. It's really helps with the YouTube algorithm. They love to see that people are enjoying the content to a certain extent. So give it a nice little thumbs up and leave a comment. Do you think that the rightful winner was awarded $1 million? Or do you think that maybe Raquel and Kayla were robbed? So what do you think about the outcome of this race? Leave that in the comment box and we'll be seeing you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.